Hello, and a very warm welcome back to Learn English with Podcast Conversation. I'm your host, Lisa, and it's a true pleasure to be sharing this time with you. There's a question that often comes up when you meet someone new, usually right after you've covered the basics of your name and what you do for a living. The question is, so what do you do for fun? It seems so simple, so light. But I've come to believe it's one of the most profound and revealing questions a person can ask. I remember a time in my life when that question would fill me with a quiet sense of panic. I was in the thick of building my business, and my professional life was all-consuming. As an entrepreneur, you wear so many hats. One moment you're a copywriter, the next a marketing strategist, then a designer. It's exhilarating, but it's relentless. If someone had asked me what I did for fun, my honest answer would have been, I work. My identity had become completely fused with my professional output. Perhaps you know this feeling. If you're in a demanding field, like medicine, or if you're navigating the high-stakes world of business, your work can easily become the sun around which your entire life orbits. It's a source of purpose and passion, but it can also be an eclipse, blocking out other parts of yourself. It took a moment of burnout for me to realize that my hobbies weren't a luxury I didn't have time for. They were a lifeline I couldn't afford to lose. They were the spaces where I wasn't an entrepreneur or a professional, I was just me. They were the activities that refilled my well, sparked my creativity in unexpected ways, and reminded me that my worth wasn't tied to my productivity. So, today's episode is about something I've become incredibly passionate about. Talking about our hobbies and our precious free time. This isn't just small talk. This is the language of our identity. It's how we share the parts of ourselves that are just for us. It's how we find our tribe, the people who light up when they hear that we share their secret passion for landscape photography or competitive chess. We're going to explore the rich, passionate, and authentic English you need to talk about the things that bring you joy, just for the sake of it. Are you ready to share who you are beyond your job title? Let's begin. The first step is to move beyond simple, generic statements. When someone asks what you do in your free time, answering with I like reading and watching movies is perfectly fine, but it doesn't exactly spark a vibrant conversation. The goal is to be more specific, to use language that paints a picture and reveals a little more about your personality. Think about the different categories of hobbies. Are you a creator? Instead of I like to make things, you could say, I dabble in watercolor painting, or I've been teaching myself to play the guitar. The phrase I dabble in is wonderful. It suggests a playful, non-professional engagement. Teaching myself shows initiative and passion. Maybe you're a writer, a natural extension for someone who does copywriting. You could say, I do a bit of creative writing on the side, mostly short stories. Or perhaps you're an active person who needs to move your body to clear your head, a vital need for anyone with a high-stress job. Instead of I like exercise, you could say, I'm an avid runner. I try to get out on the trails a few times a week. Or I'm really into rock climbing at the moment. The phrase I'm really into shows a current, high level of enthusiasm. Maybe it's less intense. I'm a keen hiker. Or I try to get to my yoga class to decompress. Maybe your hobbies are more intellectual. You don't just like to learn. You're a lifelong learner. You're not just a reader. You're a huge history buff. Or you love to get lost in a good psychological thriller. These specifics give the other person something to latch onto. Oh, a history buff. What period are you most fascinated by? Now you have a real conversation. Let's practice one of those more specific, engaging phrases. Repeat after me. I'm an avid photographer. I especially love capturing urban landscapes. It's so much more interesting, isn't it? It tells us not just what you do, but what you love about it. Now we get to the heart of it, the why. This is where you share your passion. When you explain why a hobby is important to you, you're sharing a piece of your inner world. This is what truly builds connection. For many of us in demanding careers, the primary why is stress relief. The language for this is crucial because it's so relatable. You could say, My work is very analytical and high pressure, so gardening is my way of switching off and connecting with something tangible. Honestly, for me, long-distance running is therapeutic. It's the only time my mind truly goes quiet. After a week of making critical decisions, there's nothing better than just sitting at the piano. It helps me clear my head. Another powerful why is the need for a creative outlet. If your job, even a creative one like marketing, is still bound by client needs and data, a personal creative project can be liberating. You might say, I love the feeling of creating something just for myself, with no agenda. Or, my work involves a lot of screen time, so I find that pottery is a wonderful way to do something tactile and work with my hands. Sometimes, the motivation is the challenge itself. It's about pushing yourself in a different arena. You could explain, I got into chess because I love the strategic challenge. It engages a different part of my brain than my work does. Or, I'm learning a new language because I love the feeling of pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And of course, many hobbies are social. They are our gateway to community. I joined a local choir, and it's been a fantastic way to meet like-minded people. The next time you talk about your hobby, try to include the why. Let's practice. Repeat this sentence, which I think will resonate with many of you. After a long week at work, it's my way of disconnecting and recharging my batteries. That single sentence communicates so much about the value and necessity of your free time. Now, how do you talk about your relationship with your hobby? How often do you do it? How serious are you? This adds another layer of authenticity to your description. If your schedule is packed, you can be honest about it. This is highly relatable for other busy people. I don't get to paint as often as I'd like, but I try to squeeze in a few hours on the weekend. The phrasal verb squeeze in perfectly captures the feeling of making time for something important amidst a busy schedule. Running is an on-again, off-again thing for me, depending on my workload. I go hiking whenever I get the chance. You can also describe your skill level. There's no shame in being a beginner. In fact, it can be an endearing quality. I've just started learning the piano, so I'm still trying to get the hang of it. I'm a complete novice when it comes to baking, but I'm having a lot of fun experimenting. On the other hand, you might be very experienced. I've been playing in the same social football league for over 10 years. Finally, let's flip the script. How do you ask someone else about their passions? This is a golden opportunity to show that genuine curiosity we talked about in our last episode. The standard question is, do you have any hobbies? To make it sound a bit more natural and conversational, you could try. So, what do you get up to in your free time? Get up to is a very common, informal phrasal verb. What do you do to unwind? This is a great question for a fellow professional. Do you have any passion projects outside of work? Once they answer, your follow-up questions are what will truly build the connection. Oh, that's fascinating. How did you get into that? Well, I've always wanted to try that. What's the most challenging part? That sounds so rewarding. What do you enjoy most about it? These questions show you're not just asking to be polite. You're genuinely interested in their world. And that brings us to the end of our exploration. Talking about our hobbies is talking about our joy. It's about sharing the things that light us up, the activities that make us feel whole. In a world that so often defines us by what we do for a living, our hobbies are a declaration of who we are when we're free. Let's close with our affirmations. To celebrate the multifaceted, interesting person you are, please say them with me. My identity is richer and more complex than just my job title. I deserve to spend time on activities that bring me joy and fulfillment. Sharing my passions is a way of sharing my authentic self with the world. I am a curious, passionate, and well-rounded individual. Let's repeat them one more time, embracing the importance of a balanced life. My identity is richer and more complex than just my job title. Sharing my passions is a way of sharing my authentic self with the world. I am a curious, passionate, and well-rounded individual. That concludes episode 36 of Learn English with Podcast Conversation. I am so inspired by your commitment to not only improving your English, but also to living a full and meaningful life. Your task for this week is to have one conversation in English where you talk about one of your hobbies. Don't just say what you do, try to explain why you do it. Talk about how it makes you feel. And then, be sure to ask the other person about their passions with genuine curiosity. Thank you for your invaluable time and energy. Until our next conversation, keep learning, keep exploring your passions, and keep shining. Bye for now.